I told Ross that he had to do his hair and makeup and all that too, because we do videos now. Yeah. And basically anything you say from now on's on the clock. Anyway, well, welcome back. Another episode, Speedway Insider. This week's guest is Speedway New Zealand official Ross Thurston. We'll introduce him a little bit more in a second, but first things first, the 5 and 5. What's your racing number and how did you choose it?
My racing number was always number 6. And the reason it was number 6 is that when I was a kid and used to go to the Speedway, Dave Evans was my favourite and he was car number 6. So it's pretty simple. So like even if we're down the pub and we're doing raffles for meat raffles, I everyone knows I get number 6 or number 9. And the reason I get number 9 is because it's 6 upside down.
Oh, not because you're a Mike Hermanson fan. He ran 9 for a few years, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did, yeah. And either that or if they're gone, some dirty bastard has pinched my numbers. It's either number 16 or number 26 because I've always got a 6 in it. Yeah, that's how it
Fair
works.
enough too. Shout out to the Rose and Crown too. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, Friday?
Every Tuesday is raffles night, club night. And where you throw the dart at the dartboard and you win prizes and all that sort of stuff, which is normally it could be cash or it could be a free meal or something like that. Thursday's Thursday. Your Mike used to always turn up to, which is your dad, but he doesn't anymore because he's old and decrepit. We have a few laughs and a few old boys, and it's good fun.
Yeah, shout out to the Rose and Crown. Second question is, what's your daily driver?
Well, at the moment, because I've got a company car, which is, because I'm a car dealer, is actually an electric Cupra Tavascan.
Okay.
You might, which I wasn't an electric fan, but hey, mate, that's a good car. Good car.
Well, you can try and sell us one later.
I actually even went, when I did a meeting in Hawke's Bay on the 28th, which was a sidecar meeting, and I had that car, and I thought, I was a little bit concerned about Ks, like, am I going to get there? Am I going to get back? And I'm coming back in the dark, and I got back with 21%. So, I was pretty happy. I know if I did it again, I'd be all right.
It's probably a little closer than what you'd want, but yeah.
I mean, but nighttime, obviously driving with your lights on, and it's obviously going to use a little bit more. And
true.
But normally I like a ute because I tow the race car trailer, or just if I'm summertime, just around town really. So don't have to pay for petrol, so save Bruce's money.
Perfect. Yeah, shout out to Manawatu Nissan. Third question is, who is your favourite athlete outside of motorsport?
I'd say Christian Cullen was my favourite athlete. Christian Cullen, mate. World's best fullback, yeah.
Good shout. Sometimes I get Christian Cullen highlights on my Instagram, and it's a real thrill.
Yeah, played for Manawatu, you see, so we're Manawatu through and through here, so yeah. He's the man.
True. We all are. What's your go-to racetrack meal?
Well, we go to the racetrack. Are we talking at Mansfield or are we talking at the Speedway?
I guess you do both, so you can have both if you like.
Yeah. Well, Gala Caterers.
Food offerings probably the same, isn't it?
Yeah. Like Gala Caterers at the track, they're definitely a hot dog, chips, and a Coke.
Mm.
And Gala Caters are actually at Mansfield as well, so probably the same.
Okay, and the last one in the 5 and 5 is, what's the one rule you would change in Speedway tomorrow if you could?
Wow. Well, there's a few rules, but some of the open wheel rules, man, that's hard work. It's hard work. Like you restart and you crisscross and all that, and you got to get the right order, and then you're trying to speed up the meeting. That can be bloody difficult. Obviously, the flat tire thing, that is very controversial, but I don't make those rules. But anyway, that's what it is what it is with that. But they would be definitely that those open wheel rules for hard work.
Yes, I agree. All right, yeah. Ross Thurston, that's the 5 and 5.
You're listening to the Speedway Insider, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of Speedway in New Zealand, hosted by three-time New Zealand champion Christian Hermanson and Ruapuna's own Louise Smith. The Speedway Insider will give you a unique perspective by going behind the scenes of everything Speedway to find and tell the stories that you won't hear anywhere else, by talking to competitors, car owners, decision makers, and anyone who makes the sport tick. Thanks for listening. Here's the latest episode.
Every day across New Zealand, thousands of Kiwis hand us their keys. At Auto Super Shops, we understand what these keys represent. Their trust, their confidence, their family's safety. Behind every set of keys is a Kiwi who's trusting us to keep their vehicle running safely and smoothly. That's why up and down the country, we have hundreds of skilled mechanics ready to earn your trust every day with expert care and attention to detail.
It's the place to stop, your Auto Super Shops.
We're New Zealand's mechanic.
Big shout out to our friends at Fastmaster, Alistair and all his team. Established in 1992, Fastmaster is one of New Zealand's leading distributors of everything that you need to operate at a high level when you're behind the wheel. The team at Fastmaster stock brands like Marina Racewear, RI Stand 21 Ogio, Inferno Armour, and of course their newly developed Ibex tyre treatment and Dirt Slayer tear-offs. I've been a customer of Alistair's and Fastmaster now for over 6 years, and I get everything that I need from Alistair. I run a custom Marina suit, have an RI helmet, and get all my Dirt Slayer tear-offs from him during the season as well. Service that Fastmaster and Alistair provides goes above and beyond to make sure that you're all sorted for Saturday night. So check out their website, fastmaster.co.nz, or stop into their new location in Albany on the North Shore.
All right. Well, into the episode as a whole. Yeah, welcome, Roscoe.
Thanks,
Ross
mate.
Thurston. We're pretty lucky to get you. You're one of the better sort of Speedway officials going around, and it's great to have you on the episode and talk about a few things related to sort of Speedway and officialdom, and I guess the ultimate goal is, at the end of the day, we kind of need more volunteers in the sport, don't we? So kind of what we're keen to do is lift the lid on the job and hopefully, I guess, try and get some more people to put their hands up to become referees and stewards and all that sort of thing as well. So, I don't know how to throw to you, Louise, but go.
Go. Okay. Well, speaking of, I think lifting the lid, I think we go back to the start. How did you get into Speedway? How did this kind of become such a huge part of your life?
Well, it was actually, I'd done a lot of circuit racing and rallying at the top level. Never won a bloody rally. Got seconds and thirds, and so I was always a bridesmaid. But Pamela is my partner. We're having a child. Well, she was. I wasn't. So I sold the rally car and sort of knuckled on down and do the father thing. And then Scott Myers rang me and said, "Well, hey, do you want to have a go in a Superstock?" I said, "Yeah, well, I'll have a go." So we did a deal, and there was Brent Body and myself, who's another car dealer in Palmy. He races a classic stock car now. We did a deal, and we were half season each, and different bodies and stuff like that. And I got into that, and it's quite good. I quite enjoy that. And then Joe Farram's car became available for sale because he was building a new one, and which was the old Tina motored car. So I bought that, and had a car dealer in town, 4 cars they were at the time. They each sort of put some money in as well, and away we went. And we did a season of that in the first year, and went to the North Island Champs. It was, I think, North Island Champs at Miani, and we got into the final 26, which was good. First time, that was pretty great. But I sort of got crashed out in the first one and broke a kingpin, and so I ducked to the infield because I was buggered. And Joe Farram and Neville Stanaway were sort of battling. Joe went got pushed to the infield and went full speed into the back of the car. I'm sitting in it and bent the rear bumper and shot the side rail forward. So that was our night gone. So fixed that, and then we went to the New Zealands in Gisborne, and once again we qualified for the final, which was great. And finished up second. So that was a bit of a fluke, really, but like no one knew who I was, so I just
So
slipped
was that
around.
your second season or your third season?
First season, yeah.
In the first season?
Yeah, so I
Wow.
just sort of slipped around and yeah, we got a number. So that was good. And then the next year, I had a mare of a year. Just anything that could go wrong went wrong and didn't qualify for anything. It was just shit. And we got the car better at the end of the year. But then, I was starting a business, so I sold the car, and we did that, and then sort of had a year and a half off. And once again, Scott Myers, he was the promoter at Palmy at the time, asked if I'd want to come along and help with the refereeing team. Yeah, I'll come along and have a look and see what it's all about. And so I started doing that, and I've been there ever since, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all in all, a pretty short-lived Speedway career almost. And,
Yeah,
and amongst all that, yeah.
2.5 years type thing.
Wow.
It was difficult for us because we were rally people and circuit people, and for the repairs, and I had to wait on other people. It taught me how to weld. That was one good thing. But yeah, we didn't have the engineering skills really required for stock car racing. So to be fair, I was a racer, not a whacker, and
I don't know.
but yeah, that's what we were, and but no, it was good fun. Don't get me wrong, it was good fun. But I was sort of doing it all by myself, and Timo, my best mate, he was the mechanic, and his wife had just got pregnant, and they had their baby, and then all of a sudden it was all too hard. And then the business came along, so yeah, I sold, and that was my lot.
Had you done much spectating before you got the offer? Like you knew what you were getting into with getting into a super stock?
Yeah. Like I'd been at the track since I was about 3, my mother said. So like we always used to sit in the old grandstand in the same spot every week, and Mum would fill out the program with all the points for the night and just all that old school stuff. And we were only young kids, and yeah, we sort of grew up with it. So we were in Fielding, and Palmerston so it's about 15-minute drives. Yeah, we went every week. Every
Or
week.
about a 30-minute horse and cart ride back in your day, wasn't it?
Stop it, mate. Probably a Volkswagen Beetle or something. Or my father was a guy that he loved racing cars, and he'd never ever done it himself. And he probably lived a little bit his life through me, which was a hard case. And when I'll tell you a story, and when I got my first race car, and which was a Datsun 1200 coupe, and we had an hour long distance race at Mansfield, I was too scared to tell my father that I sold my road car and I've got this little race car. So when the meeting came out, and back in those days they had programs and stuff with all your names and everything in it, my mum said, he looked in the program and said, "Who's this Ross Thurston guy? Who's he? What relation is he?" And he came looking for me in the pits after the meeting, and I thought, "Oh my God, he's going to tear the living crap out of me." But no, he was completely different. He just said, "Oh well, why didn't you tell me? I'll give you a hand. Leave it at my place." So yeah, it sort of broke the ice, really. The old boy.
Chucked yourself in the deep end.
Yeah. But I always remember that.
Wow. Obviously, the circuit stuff has always had a fond part of your life from growing up and all the way through until now. You're still kind of involved with all of that?
Yeah, I've still got a race car now in the shed. Bloody owes a lot of money, that car, but
all good race cars do.
Yeah. This one's been a bit temperamental, but it's sort of it's a Mitsubishi Evo thing, and it started off as a bit of a play thing, and then we'll drive it to the track. But he ended up like that. It's way out of control. But we lived in Fielding, and because Fielding is where Manfield is, where the racetrack is. So we'd always go to the racetrack.
When you made that transition from the rally stuff into Speedway, how did you find that transition? I'm intrigued to know. Obviously, it's very different.
Well, it's completely different, yeah, because in a rally, you're sitting with your mate and you're there all day, and when you're obviously on the track in the Speedway, you're by yourself, and it's 3 or 4 minutes. So the contact thing took me a little while because we never hit anybody in a rally. The only thing we hit was the banks and the buddy and the fence. But that took me a while. But we sort of got the hang of it a bit in the end. But I was never a hitter, as I said before. That wasn't me.
So when that opportunity came around for you to become an official, you never had the desire to go back racing. You knew that was kind of your time to switch into a different role.
Yeah. Like I'd been doing official stuff from 2006 with New Zealand Motorsport New Zealand with at the national championship level. So I was there, what they call a driving standards observer. So we sat in a little truck that was hooked up to the broadcast truck with all the cameras. And if there was an incident on track, then we'd relay that information to the clerk of the course and they would issue the penalty. Mm-hmm. So I did that for like New Zealand V8s and Porsches and TRS in the day and all the championship classes that we had. Mm-hmm. And when I was doing the Speedway, it taught you if you had to make a decision, you had to make a decision quick. Mm-hmm. Because in the circuit racing, if you didn't call the penalty during the race, then afterwards you end up having an argument because circuit guys would have every camera, every data, blah, blah, blah. So if you knew that guy was guilty, you called it during the race. So it taught me that way in Speedway, if there was something wrong and it was going to affect the race, to issue the penalty straight away. So,
I'm sure that you saw a lot of things in that role, being a driving standards observer. I'm sure there was a lot going on that you had to keep an eye on.
Oh, yeah. Like you sort of went to the meeting and it was me and another guy. You went to a meeting and you really had no friends. Mm-hmm. If you go out for dinner, you wouldn't be going out with a whole lot of drivers because they didn't want to talk to you. But Speedway's different than that. It really is. I know if we do a meeting and everything's gone good, I can go to the club rooms and have a beer and no one wants to stab you or poke a poker in the eye or a pen or something like that. You can have conversations with people and they're happy, and as long as they're happy, the meeting's happy, and then the public will come back and watch it again. That's, to me, what it's all about, trying to make it better.
I guess carrying on the official talk of, it's probably quite a different process going from what you were doing, helping out there, with becoming a Speedway official as a volunteer is probably quite different. Yeah,
it's different. Being a Speedway, you're still basically a volunteer. Like, we don't really get paid. I try and do it for the sport. Have a good meeting and people will come back and want to watch it again, and they'll tell somebody that meeting was great. I'll come back next week. It helps the club, the promotions, whoever runs the track. Helps us as officials be respected a bit, I suppose.
Do you think that the respect side of it is probably where maybe we either struggle or it helps for getting volunteers in the official space?
Yeah, I think it does make it easier if you've been involved with the sport somehow. Generally, if you've been a driver, that definitely helps. Rather than a young fella off the block who thinks he knows everything about the sport and has to make a difficult decision and let it be right or wrong. Like, it's not that easy. Not that easy. We're not there to ruin anybody's night. We're there to be fair to everyone. And if as Hermo would know, back in the old days, banging along in his mini stock. Hey, Christian.
Not sure what you're talking about. I don't recall.
No.
It's too long ago now. It's too long ago now.
Yeah.
I'm interested. You just said that it's advantageous to have maybe been a competitor before, but I'm keen to expand on that. Basically, why do you think that? You will have seen officials, and you do a lot of training and stuff. You will have seen some officials that haven't been competitors. What do you think the main advantages are of having been a competitor?
Get a little bit of respect
from the drivers.
Yeah. You lose the pits, you lose the meeting. Got to have the pits on your side.
But do you think it's the type of decisions that you make or the sort of the types of 50-50s you might sort of let go based on being a competitor, whereas one that maybe hasn't might ping sort of a few more of those? Or do you think that's an advantage?
I think that I put myself in that position. What would I do in that position if I was driving that car? And that's generally how I make my decision. Let it be right or wrong. That's sort of how I do it.
And do you think that can be trained? Is that a thing that you can sort of pass on to people, or is it just sort of?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes, just don't jump into it. Have a bit of a think about it. What advantage has that guy gained? Is he, like he's passed the guy on the pole line, but then he's DNF'd the race. So, what are you going to do with him? Just all those sort of little things, really. Just got to be fair and reasonable. Think you're fair and reasonable. They understand. Have, clear communication on the driver's radio. Make sure they've got the bloody thing turned on, which is annoying. I'm sure you've got yours operating, haven't you, Christian?
Never.
Sometimes it's frustrating. Like a lot of these tracks are time certain, and we're going around with someone in the wrong position because he hasn't got his bloody radio on. It's frustrating. Anyway, that all might change.
Might change.
Might do.
The radios. I thought the radios would have been...
the radios ain't going to change.
Right. The people not running them.
Yeah, maybe.
I run mine all the time. There's some people that
you do
don't.
Now, eh? You do now.
I always do. There's one older gentleman that I can think of that never runs it. Normally what happens is he's out of position, and then it's the rest of the field that sort of drive around him and have to try and point to him where to go.
Yeah, point to him,
yeah. So it takes a village.
Yeah. There's guys in certain classes that we know that don't have them. We know. They're not that dumb.
Either that or they're too old and can't hear.
What?
Yeah.
Obviously, the 2NZ being probably the biggest one of your own racing career in Speedway.
Yeah, that was a good night, and I'll tell you what, it was a long night.
Who won that year?
Wayne won.
Nice.
Yeah,
the red Walker
and the Walker. Yeah, I think that was his first championship, Wayne. But yeah, he was lucky to finish because he back in those days it was Rotorua versus Wellington, and everyone was dive bobbing everyone else, and I was sort of just flipping around there. And I knew I'd got close to the top, but I didn't know I'd got second. I had no bloody idea. I think who won that last race? Frankie Wyman. He was running in the championship that year, so he overheated in the second race and he won the last heat. That's right. And I finished second in the last heat, and Jeff James was third in the last heat. And there was Rodney Wood. He was driving around with no rear tyres. Back in those days, you could run flat tyres. There was rubber all over the track. Like it was wild, man.
Cool.
It was wild. It was one of the best third heats because it was Wellington Rotorua. They just attacked each other.
Do you think that being an official, do you think that has harbored your passion for Speedway, or do you think you would still have just as much passion if you were just to be a fan or be spectating week in and week out like you grew up doing?
I always wanted to be involved. When we were racing, some of the officialdom was suspect, but I just thought, well, hey, if I can make it better, if I help and if I can make it better, well, that'll be better for the sport. So that's what I did. And I still haven't really stopped, really. So I still enjoy it. If I wake up on a Saturday morning and think to myself, suck, I've got Speedway tonight. Well, that's the time to give it away. And at this stage, I haven't got that. So I always look forward to it and look forward to going to the track. And, the track's facilities are really good. And the referee's box is big and got all the gear. They look at, Bruce and Park, they look after it. Everyone that helps them. So people look after you. You do your best for them.
You just said that about, you wanted your contribution to kind of be that you would make the sport better or a better place for, competitors, etc. How do you measure that as an official? How do you feel like you've achieved that?
Well, it's hard to measure that. I suppose it's to be every meeting is that you think, how many decisions have been protested by the by the competitor.
Mhm.
And I can honestly say in the last 10 years, I've had four
Pretty good odds.
protests and I haven't lost one.
Wow. And were those 4 shocking to you to be protested? Were they valid? Did you see them coming?
One was the stock car at New Zealand stock car champs at Palmy. One was another stock car at the 16, I think it was, at Kiki, and 2 at the New Zealand Super Stocks this year. But
Not bad.
they
Good odds.
good odds.
Very good odds.
Good odds.
Wow.
Why do you think that is? Do you think you just make good decisions all the time, or people can't be bothered arguing with you?
Well, it's not, at the end of the day, when you do a protest, it's not my decision. So I just give my point of view and the reason why I made that decision, and it's up to the protest committee to say yes or no. Yeah, luckily they've all agreed with what I said. So, yeah.
But
How
maybe
much
that's a
is-
good. You go.
You go. No, you go.
I was going to say maybe that's a good place to sort of talk about preparation and what goes into it, because I mean that's quite a remarkable stat, I think, and maybe a good place to kind of move it. But do you think, seriously, is it sort of like you just know the rules and you kind of know what you're looking at, or because that's quite impressive actually.
Well, it's the competitor's right to protest. So at the end of the day, we've made a decision. Let it be right or wrong. If he thinks it's wrong, it's wrong. I've got no problem with that. Let's go to an independent board and they can, or panel, and they can make the decision. So at the end of the day, as I've said to all my referees that have been over the years, make a decision. Don't ponder about it, make a decision. Sometimes it's bloody hard, but you need to make a decision.
What goes into it? So, let's say you're watching a race or something and you see maybe not a car over the pole line, but you sort of see something that looks a bit funny, or something that I don't know, what goes into it? You're watching a race and you're seeing stuff. Do you take notes? Do you make decisions on the spot? Run us through that. What does that look like?
Well, my first bit of preparation is the driver's briefing. The driver's briefing is the most important part of the meeting, because if you're doing a championship, I'm talking championships here. Talking a championship, you need to make sure that everyone's clear on how you think and how you're going to act. So I always do, say for teams, for instance, Superstock teams, I do a written driver's briefing and give it to the managers. So the reason I do that is then a lot of them will not come in with a bit of pen or a bit of paper, and they'll take about 5% of what you said, go back and talk to their drivers. Then all of a sudden they're getting penalised for something that I said at the drivers' managers meeting. So get a bit of paper, then it's got everything that we're talking about. Go back and talk to the team. They can have a bit of a whatever they do in their teams meetings, and generally, touch wood, generally it's okay. And even like an open wheel championship, I'll have it written out, and I won't give it to the drivers, but I'll explain to them, all the way what I expect, and incidents, what we can do, what we can't do. And so if you lose that driver's briefing, it does make it hard. It makes it hard for the rest of the night, because what you say in a driver's briefing, you're going to say, if you do this, I will penalise you for this, whatever rule it may be. And then it happens on the track, and then you don't do it, mate, you're on a hiding to nothing. What you say is what you do, and you've got to do it, even if it's you, mate.
You'd never do anything.
You've pinged me plenty of times.
I wouldn't have done. I'm just going to put a battery charger on my phone, because otherwise we might have a failure.
We almost had a failure during the Ethan Dotson episode. He was on 1% and he was scrambling to find a phone charger. It was almost a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Thanks for being proactive.
Yeah. There we go.
So I suppose, driver's briefing. That's all kind of. I'm going to make sure I'm always listening in driver's briefing now. That's probably a good note to write down here too.
Yeah.
But I guess through the night, keen to get like into the process too, because I mean, is it the case of like you just read the rule book more times than anyone else, or is it you just got better intuition, or what's?
Let's be honest. When I was the competitor, I never read the bloody rule book. We competitors don't read the rule book. That's a fact. That's what happens. It's only when they get into a tricky situation, then they try and read it, but generally most of them read it in incorrect or got the wrong rule or whatever.
Mm.
What happens during the race? I just got a bit of a pad, like a diary, race number 3, stock cars, and I run a clock, so I've got a digital clock running on my phone, and if there is an incident, I'll go something at turn 3, which is normally the furthest away from the referees, or depending what track you're on. So we're talking Palmy here. Turn 3, I think that doesn't look quite right. I'll write the time down and the car's concerned, and at the end of the race, or if I have a red, I'll go into the room next door, which is our video room, and not all tracks have got that luxury, to be fair, and I'll dial up that time, because that time that I've written down is a reference, and I can quickly go to that time, generally in about 15 seconds. I'll be replaying that incident, and I'll go, oh, look at that. Car 78P is over the pole line, and he's made the pass, or he's over the pole line and he's attacked off the pole line. And then we can decide, okay, well, he's attacked over the pole line, we're going red and we're going to take him off. So we'll just go red and take him off. We've already read, but yeah, only if we get that. Sometimes it's a luxury to have that, but yeah, it works good too, especially with cars on a restart, like under a red on a restart, to get the correct order, to make sure that the gaps are close to what they were. Even an open wheel, who, back in those days it was prime cause, and they could be still driving around in cars on the fence. We can review it on the video and, okay, you're at the back, Jack.
What about if you don't have video? What's the process? Because that's a topic I've got here is technology and how we can use it and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously not. Palmy's very lucky. It's got a great video setup. You almost can't take a breath without being on your video cameras, pretty much. But
yeah.
If you're at a track, somewhere else that doesn't quite have the same luxury, what's the pro?
The old days, it's like spotters. New Zealand Super Stocks this year in Wellington, there was no cameras. It was just like we did it 5 years ago. So you just do it on spotters or do it on your knowledge. You can tell if someone's right or wrong. You can tell. Yeah, that's really what we do. I mean, Palmy's lucky, 9 cameras, and they're all 4K quality. Look as clear as what you do on this here. And as I say, 15, 20 seconds and we can have it up. So it's good.
And I still managed to pass a car over the pole line at Manawatu Sprint Car Champs 2 years ago. I won't put that in. Yeah, it's funny.
I think I remember that.
It was a lap car. Who cares?
Yeah, that was a lap car. I remember that. Play on. Now, we're racers at the end of the day, mate.
Yeah.
We're all racers.
I think and maybe that kind of goes into the next kind of topic too, where it's interpretation, because I think it's kind of the age-old thing in motor racing, isn't it? Where I could look at an incident, you could look at an incident, Louise could look at an incident, and we would probably have 3 different opinions on the same crash. So how do you deal with that in a referee's box? Because it's not often that probably hardly ever that you're by yourself up there, and then you've also got spotters kind of out there in the field and that sort of thing. So, and then also you've got the driver's opinion and maybe a rep and all that sort of thing. So how does that sort of come into making a decision as well?
Well, we don't have spotters at Palmy anymore because we've got cameras, so we don't need them. So generally what will happen is that I'll be helping the boys, though I'm the track referee at Palmy. We've got a couple of assistants, and I sort of rotate them on running the race, whatever race it may be, and then it becomes they make the decision. So if I'm running a race, then I make the decision. If there's something a little bit sticky with those guys, they'll ask me for my opinion, but my opinion doesn't always mean that what he decides to do. So it's up to him. It's the learning process, and the only way you learn is you make mistakes. Don't get me wrong, is the amount of mistakes that you make, because next time you won't do that.
Yeah, that's a good one. It must be bloody hard though, because there's a lot happening in a race. And sometimes there's 20 cars, 24 cars, there's cars at the front, there's cars at the back. It must be hard to know where to look half the time.
Well, I think you just teach yourself, now, we don't see everything. Don't get me wrong. Like there'll be something out there in a race that we haven't seen. It's just human nature. But, like everything that I'm pretty certain that most incidents that we see and we review and we either say, oh, that's nothing, or that was just racing, or hey, that's not right. Let's talk to that guy or that child, or if it's a youth or whatever. But human nature is, you're not always right. And, I can't go to a meeting and watch it. I'm there with my head going like this, looking for fault. It's true.
Yeah.
I can't go to a meeting. Say if it was like New Zealand Super Saloons in the weekend at Niani, though I couldn't go anyway, I couldn't go and watch that without saying, oh, that should be a penalty. Because that's all I'm doing is looking for fault.
Yeah.
It's
Must
bloody
be the same
annoying.
on TV with the supercars and things like that too. Must be almost torture genius type of stuff. Hard to watch.
Yeah. Like in those circuit days, Craig Beard raced Porsches and NZ V8s and Super Tourers, and I was the guy that was penalising him. And now he's DSO for supercars. Anyway, that's life, isn't it?
That's good. I got another question to ask you, but
yeah, but once again, if you look at Craig Beard, for instance, he's a pretty bloody good driver in his day. He was an ex-racer, so it's the same thing. Is that the new racers want to have some experience from an old racer for the penalties. Same thing, but just at a different level.
Just quickly, Brock Feeney, Ryan Wood. What was your take on that?
Feeney caused all that, mate.
Racing deal.
Ryan Wood was in the hole, and Feeney just kept moving down. He got what he deserved. Yeah, that was no way. That was a Wood penalty. Goodness sake. But anyway, that's my opinion.
High profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have I got here? Actually, I've got a question to ask too. Actually, because I've got this new theory. As you know, we've dealt with each other a few times in the referee's box and whatever else. And I've had joy sometimes, and other times not so much. There's actually another story that's just come to mind too. But the question I've got is around a new theory that I've developed, which is that I'm not going to go up to the referee's box anymore because I feel like I do make it worse for myself sometimes. But
yeah.
Do you think, as a driver walking up to the referee's box, are we likely to get off, or is a decision made and you don't really care what I've got to say, or what, or should I put up a fight?
Well, it depends what the incident is, of course.
Yeah.
But if you come up with a nice attitude, you've got more chance of being dealt with lightly than you have firmly. So don't go up there heated and this and yelling and screaming, because all I'll do is just open the door and say, see you later. That's what I'll do. But if you come up with a nice attitude, if the rep's brung you up, because you should only be speaking to me anyway if you're dealing with a rep, you've got more chance to have a lenient penalty, if a penalty, than if you come up all hot and flustered and yelling and screaming.
Well, I'm sure you know which end of the scale I'm always at.
Yeah. But I mean, I haven't spoken to you for quite some time in the box, even at the Springs, even at the Springs. Yeah, I don't think I have. There's a few drivers that get a little bit upset, but anyway, that's how they are. Can't change that.
So keep putting up a fight is what you reckon?
No. I think if you keep putting up a fight, it's only making it worse for yourself.
That's what I've found.
Yeah.
I feel like, sometimes
that
it feels like
it worse.
Sometimes I feel like it's a bit of a waste of breath, but it depends what you're dealing with too, right?
Yeah. If someone's prepared to listen, and all Speedway officials should be prepared to listen, then you've probably got a good chance. But yelling and screaming ain't going to help.
Well, I definitely don't do that. Definitely not.
You being quite an intelligent man, Hermo.
Not these days, anyway.
And knowing the rule book, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I'm probably one of the few, to your point earlier, that has actually read it. Or at least the part that relates to me.
All you need to do is say, hey, well, this rule, blah, 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 that means this. So what are you going to do? I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's still kind of maybe it depends on what track I'm at, whether I go up or not.
Are you coming to Palmy for the Easter meeting?
Yes.
Oh, look, I look forward to talking to you.
I'll be so far out in front, I won't have to come and see you.
I might even have to just call you up for some shit and giggles.
Bill Clarkson did that to me last year. He made me walk all the way from the pits at you know how they park us up the back at Kiki. He made me walk the whole way down to the tower, basically just to tell me that I'd done a great job in the midget for the first time. I said, Bill, I didn't need the walk, mate.
I remember doing something similar to, is it Wade Savage? That's the father? Is it Wade, is it?
Yeah, Wade Savage, yeah.
And he'd won a sprint car race in Palmy, and we thought, well, geez, we'd never seen him win a race for a long, long time. So we called him up and we sort of said to him, hey, look, we want to talk to you about the race. And he sort of went, what do I do wrong? He says, no, you did nothing wrong. He says, well, why am I here? I just wanted to congratulate you. Well done, you bastard.
Oh, that's funny.
Gotta have a bit of fun.
I suppose the little things in life.
Yeah.
I think kind of some of the other areas I'm keen to touch on are around sort of, I guess, you know, are there some decisions that kind of feel bigger than others? Obviously, you mentioned New Zealand titles and stuff before. Does that sort of come into it where it's like, oh, well, it's the final heat, or it's the one race final, and I don't want to be involved, or it doesn't matter. It's just you make the right decision and to it.
Well, you know, like the New Zealand Championship, it's got to be right. That's the first thing. And when I have my driver's briefing, I just say to them, hey, this is the New Zealand Championship. This isn't a club meeting. It's got to be right. So you guys need to make sure that it's right, because I don't want to decide this championship up in the box. I want it to be on the track, fair and for everybody. So haven't had to do it one up in the box yet. So everyone's fair and love and war. But the New Zealand Championship needs to be right. Needs to be, because it's a number. It's a number that you're going to carry on your car for a year. So you can't have someone running around with a number that you knew you should have been. He shouldn't have that number. So it's an honour to hold those numbers. So therefore, that race or that championship, 3 heat or 1 heat final, whatever it may be, all those decisions need to be right.
Is there, I guess, is it 100%, as in like sort of you've got to be 100%, or does it change meeting to meeting, or is it not like that? It's just,
well, if you're not 100%, you shouldn't be penalised. So if you're 95%, whoever did whatever, then don't penalise them. Need to be 100%. If you're 100%, then you get a penalty. If not, well, you know, I give him a penalty and he goes and protests it for whatever and he wins, well, there goes my record. Yeah, no, you got to be a hundy.
Yeah.
If it's not a hundy, don't do it. Simple.
And I think building on that too, I think over the last few years, definitely since I've been back racing, I've definitely noticed a lot more, and maybe it's because you've got the tools now to do it with the fixed penalties and stuff like that, but I've definitely noticed there's more sort of preference maybe towards dealing with things during the race. And I guess what I'm talking about is I think sometimes things happen and we get sent to the rear of the field, or what have you during the race, or we drop 2 positions during the race. There's back sort of, you know, before I came back, it was a lot more sort of, we talked about things after the race and that sort of thing. I guess from a driver's perspective and an official's perspective, what do you think is sort of better, dealing with it sort of at the time or dealing with it after?
Probably goes back to my answer earlier on with the circuit racing. You deal with it at the time. Deal it within time and it's done. So I think that doing penalties and open wheel during the race, that's the thing to do, because it gives that driver another opportunity. So like he's running third, for instance, and he passed the car over the pole line or whatever, and that's a 2-place penalty. Well, I don't wait to the end of the race, because he might only end up finishing 5th. But if we restart the race and he's 5th, he's still got the opportunity to get back where he was. So I think that's, for a competitor, it's fairer to do it that way.
Yeah, it's just less recourse as a driver if it's kind of the wrong decision, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, you got to make sure, once again, it goes back, if you're not 100, don't do it. If you're not sure, don't do it. If it's 100%, then do it.
Good. Well, I look forward to being penalised 100% later. Maybe one of the other.
We don't go to the meeting just to penalise people.
No.
Poor old SNZ, we all get ridiculed for not doing stuff, and when we do stuff, we get ridiculed for that as well. End of the day, it's just, as I said, got to be fair to everyone.
A couple of last questions, and maybe it builds on that too. The bunker and the NRL have direct communication to sort of the TV and the fans, and you can sort of have some transparency over how that decision gets made. Should we have that in Speedway?
A bunker
style sort of Roscoe on the comms on the live stream or into the stadium.
Well, the problem with that is some tracks have a curfew. Like most tracks have got a curfew, and you keep doing that all night, and then all of a sudden your race is getting cut. Like drivers not driving 3 heats in a night. It's a time thing. So I think what we've got at the moment is okay. I'd like to see maybe Speedway. We obviously got to go to AGM as ex-board member for tracks to have video of decent quality, because that just makes a lot of the problems go away. And I know some tracks it's difficult because those cameras are quite expensive, and you might be a little bit out in the open and then come here next week and there's no cameras there because somebody's stolen them. So yeah, that will happen on certain tracks. Like even at Palmy, they got heaps of stuff stolen all the time. We got to the teams and there was no speakers in the pits because someone had been there the night before and stolen all the speakers. So it makes it difficult, but honestly, cameras should be a prerequisite for a track inspection. That's what I think anyway. It just helps everybody.
Well, most of the big meetings these days are live streamed from multiple camera angles anyway. So and a lot of the time it's sort of available, isn't it?
But you don't have that in the referee's box during the race. So you got to wait to the end of the race. So it's a difficult one, and it costs a lot of money, and some clubs haven't got that budget. So that's the way it is the way it is. But I'd like to see that, but see what happens.
Me too. Yeah, big fan of that. Last few questions around, I guess once you've made the decision, not everyone agrees with it, not everyone has to like it and all that sort of thing. So criticism from teams and fans, Facebook, all that sort of thing. How does Ross Thurston deal with that?
I don't care. I mean, like obviously the Auckland Christchurch teams race the other year, that wasn't good. But either way, it was either Auckland was going to be sad or Christchurch was going to be sad. So I had to make a decision. Took a while, but I wanted to make sure it was right and didn't wreck the meeting. Either way, I was snookered. I was pushed into a corner. So what it is what it is, I suppose. Now I saw photos on Facebook with, here's a photo of Ross Thurston. I don't know where they got that from. And he had gold watches and gold necklaces and suck it up T-shirts and oh my God. Yeah, but it wasn't a good environment that night. The referee's box was pelted with hot dogs. True story. I said,
God.
Yeah, like it wasn't good. And halfway, after I made that decision, I was bursting, so I had to go and relieve myself. And the girls next door said, "Don't go down there! Don't go down there!" It'll be right. I didn't care. There was angry people, but it's part of it, isn't it? I don't know. Thick-skinned or something. I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah.
To be honest with you, that was the worst night that I'd had in Speedway. Because the decision either way was going to be shit. And I felt for the young boy, the 72A. I felt for him, but at the end of the day, I had to make a decision. Let it be right or wrong, and we made a decision. And we move on.
Yeah, it's a hard one too, isn't it? Because I mean, it's a passionate thing, and it's a thing we all put our lives into, and all that sort of thing. And like you say, you get to a certain level in the sport, and you are making decisions around who wins and who loses, basically. And it's not an easy one, but it sounds like from what you've said, so long as you've gone through your process and you're sort of happy with that, that's basically the best you can do, isn't it?
Yeah. I listened to both sides. Looked at videos, probably looked at too many videos really. So what we did this year as we said to the managers, we don't want to see any videos rather than our own cameras, which is we class as a judicial camera. So I don't want to see a phone from Auntie Margaret that has taken it on whatever turn and it's long distance and it just clouds everything. So I learned from my days from New Zealand Motorsport that you look at a footage and your first instinct is generally correct. Then you procrastinate and it clouds your decision. And then all of a sudden you're looking at this and you're looking at that. But at the whole time, it comes back to your original decision. So just go with the original decision. If you're 100%, only if you're 100%. Not 100%, don't do it.
Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting window into how it all happens, because I think, as a driver, we're always on one end of it. So we don't often see that you've looked at lots of video, or that you've looked at, you've spoken to 10 different spotters, or you've sort of had a view of it yourself. So it's a bloody interesting window into how it all works in the referee's box. I think.
Yeah. Like my book on a night, say like in the team, like a little diary, that'd be 4 pages of you wrote something down and just look at that. No, that's okay. You've cleared that. Yeah. Shit, that's not good. We'll better have a talk to him. No, we cleared that every race. So, you get managers coming up saying such and such, turn 3 didn't release and blah, 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 because they're on the infield. And I'll go, oh, yeah. So I have a look. I'll go, oh, no, yeah, well, that's the one we looked at earlier. We had it written down. This is what happened. And it's cleared. So, the public don't always know that we're looking at most things that we see, or pretty much everything that we see doesn't look right, that we're not just sitting up there drinking coffee.
Maybe to my point earlier, that's where, some of that transparency, the kind of the decisions, because I guess that's the other thing, is we only see the decisions that get made. We don't see the decisions that don't get made.
That's correct. Yeah, correct.
Some of that transparency around, no, actually we looked at that, and because, actually it looked like a puff of dust off the grass, but actually it's off the, inside of the track or whatever it is, maybe that's where some of that transparency kind of comes into it as well.
Correct. And there's always lots of puffs of dust. Sometimes they're on or over, and sometimes they're just on the edge, under. So, but they still gets the same puff of dust.
Yeah. I guess one last question around kind of probably the sort of the other side of it is, decisions that kind of we don't feel go right or correctly or what have you. But I guess, is there any review that gets done by officials after meetings? Do you all sit down together and go, oh, actually, you got that one right, or actually, I think you could have done this one better or differently, and that sort of thing, or not really, or how does that sort of work?
Well, we have a debrief after every meeting. Every track has a debrief. They have a briefing at the start of the meeting with their key officials, and at the end. Pretty much at the end, it's around the table discussion. Generally, decisions like that don't come up at those meetings. But hey, if it's a howler, for instance, and the guy's aggrieved and he's protested and he's lost, or he's still he's not happy, well, that can often end up on the manager's desk, and the head officials have to deal with that. If things haven't been done correctly, health and safety concerns, etc., etc. But do we have a debrief amongst the team? We don't. We don't at our track. We only just have that debrief with the clerk of the course, the guy in the ute, and the stewards, St. John or medical, all those people, all the reps, etc. And and that's generally an open discussion. It's not a discussion to point the finger at anybody and blame or anything like that. It's all about learning and, hey, look, we might have got that one wrong, but we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because I mean that's how everyone learns, and that's how we all get better at the end of the day, isn't it? Okay, well,
Prime cause?
I think prime cause. Yeah, we can talk about prime cause. I wasn't going to push you too hard on it. I think to talk about one specific thing that's kind of particularly been kind of happening in open wheel land is prime cause and that sort of thing. I guess we won't draw your specific opinion on any one particular matter or anything like that, but I guess overall, when something contentious like that starts kind of happening, and I say contentious and what have you, but really it's just from us as a driver's point of view. It's kind of, you see it applied differently in different ways at different tracks sometimes. How do we, probably the question is, how do you get sort of consistency across the board across all the tracks when you've sort of got this rule and, okay, it's what you might interpret it a different way to me or, someone else out there kind of officiating. So, and I think prime cause fits into that category. So how do we, I guess, ensure consistency across the board so that the same call gets made at Ruapuna as gets made at Waikaraka on Saturday night?
Well, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because we're talking with humans. So prime cause, well, I mean, like the end of the day, that rule was made at the last AGM by the open wheel community through the tracks and voted at the AGM. So whether we agree with it or not, it's
incoming call. Who's calling you and why? You're busy. Start again.
So where was I saying? I was saying that, so that was made by the open wheel tracks and voted at the AGM and passed. So all we have to do is implement it, which is not always that easy. And depending on which track you go to, cameras help. If there's no cameras, well, it's just really experience. And if you saw it, like if you didn't see it, once again, I go back to, you got to be 100%. If you're not 100%, you don't do it. I mean, I've seen a few this year, and whether I agree with them or disagree with them, it doesn't matter. The referee made a decision. So he's doing his best as what he can do on that particular incident. So prime calls, everyone goes to the back. We used to run it at the Springs. That's how it was. Anyone comes to the stop, we go to the back.
Yeah.
Because that was all brought in because of time restraints. So we couldn't muck around with push starting 2 or 3 cars. If you spun or stopped once during a heat, then you just got pushed off. That's how it was. It was all to do with time restraints with a local rule. But prime calls, well, that's the rule. That's how we have to adjudicate it. Crisscross.
Crisscross seems hard. It seems difficult. If I'm honest, difficult. I know it's the same deal. It's ended up in there because of AGM and stuff like that. But it seems hard.
Well, it's not that bloody easy. Just quietly, when you get a yellow and it takes a few cars out, and then you got to wait for the grid order to come in from the girls next door, and then okay, which cars are out there that's not going? Car 99 and car 3 or something. So you cross them off the list, and then you've got to work out where your order is. It all takes time. Luckily, honestly, the open wheel guys are good, and they sort of know. And then when you got to go back a lap, and some guys don't realise, I've gone back a lap, I passed him, he's arguing position, mate, you need to go here. Yeah.
And then you've got to crisscross.
Yeah.
I could, I can see the intention and sort of understand all that, but Jesus, it seems like makes it pretty hard.
Yeah, that's hard work. Where in the past it was quite simple.
Yeah, just move up a lane, I guess. But just on the prime cause, I suppose, the one that's kind of, it's really the ones that are, kind of contact mostly. It's kind of a judgment call, and then I guess it's hard because then you as a driver get sent to the rear. But maybe it's just important to understand, like, how does Ross Thurston interpret it? As in, like, you see an incident and you sort of, what's the process around identifying the prime cause in a situation where contact's been made and a couple of cars maybe have stopped? How do you interpret it?
I think if contact's been made and it's caused the yellow from the contact, then he goes to the back. It's quite simple. He's caused it. Yes, the other guy's come to a stop. He has to go to the back as well because that's what the rule says. But the guy that's made the contact to cause the yellow from the other guy spinning, because he wouldn't have spun or put in the fence or whatever if it wasn't for that contact. So to me, that's a penalty. To me.
Yeah. And it's just your interpretation. I guess there's some that would say that, the reason that you've put the yellow on is that car's stopped and that, then there's one car that hasn't. That's that's the other sort of the flip side of it. But it's
we've initiated the yellow because that car's come to a stop. But he wouldn't have come to a stop if there wasn't any contact. Like if he was already going, turning himself around, well, that's different. But if he wasn't doing that, it depends on every circumstance. Everyone's different.
It probably could benefit from being clarified as like, it's not prime cause of the yellow, it's prime cause of the incident. Like not who was the one that stopped or who's the one that's crashed. Yes, that's obviously the reason that the yellow has come out, but the actual cause of that is how I would interpret that.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. You should be a referee.
Thank you.
Come on, Louise, you can do it.
Hard pass. I like to do my refereeing from the infield where no one can hear me and my decisions actually don't matter.
Plus, Mike Glover's got that job locked down for at least another couple of years.
I will leave that for Mike. And anyone that comes after him, that's not me. But I appreciate the thought.
Louise runs the infield at Rapuna. She does all the interviews and stuff. So she's normally fairly busy.
Great view from there, though.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, well, that's all I've got. I think it's been like I say, a really, really cool chat. I think it's good to sort of understand, what happens in the referee's box and behind that closed door, and we only see it when we've been aggrieved or in a situation. So it's it's good to hear, basically.
Sweet.
Final message to competitors and fans, and maybe like if anyone's listening to this thinking I want to become a Speedway referee, what's your message to them?
I just think if you want to become a Speedway referee, well, get in touch with your club or your promotion or whoever it is, and if you do, you just got to be fair and consistent. Soon as you're not fair and consistent, it makes it too hard. But that's what I think anyway. So that sort of served me well of my times. Yeah, like I think anyone that can do it, that's got a knowledge of racing. You got to be obviously interested in racing. Make your decision and be 100% certain. Make it clear and precise and accurate, and you'll be fine. It's not that bad. Not that bad a job. Just a lot of people don't want to talk to you. But anyway, that's just how it is. I don't care. Yeah, I think Speedway, like there's a huge amount of good people in Speedway. And like it's rewarding. It's good for family and communities. I think it's a great sport. Sport. And that's pretty much it really. I enjoy it. And I'll stop when I stop enjoying it. So at the moment, as I said before, I still enjoy it. So I like going to the local track at Saturday night, and it seems a bit strange when the year's sort of comes to a close and think, what am I going to do on a Saturday night now? I'll have to sit at home and watch TV or something. It seems right. Cheers. Thanks, Hermo. Thanks, Louise.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Speedway Insider podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you drop us a comment or a message about this episode. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts to get the latest episodes straight to your feed. Thanks again for listening.